Hey, somebody's got to bait the hook. You have? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to the Professional Noticer. Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Hey, thank you for making me a part of your week. My purpose here today and with every show we do is to play the part of a best friend or a coach. I want to help you live the life of your wildest dreams by giving you access to the greatest mentors the world has to offer today. This week, the Professional Noticer is sponsored by Books for Veterans. The Veterans Administration in Washington, D.C. has asked for 10,000 Andy Andrews books. I'm personally donating as many as I can, but to reach 10,000, I need your help. What we're able to do to make that easier for you is for every $10 donation you make, a hardback book will be sent to the Veterans Administration for veterans, their families, and for employees of the VA. That $10 will cover the cost of the book, the shipping, and the handling. So whether you can make this a personal gift or a corporate donation, just go to andyandrews.com/veterans. This can be added to a website purchase or done as an individual entry. And thanks very much for your support. Observations and answers, that's what we do here on the Professional Noticer. Sometimes we have people who make great observations, sometimes people who have answers, and sometimes both. And today we have a treat. We have a real noticer, actually. We have a real life noticer because this is a guy who noticed something that nobody else had seen, and it's causing quite a stir in the sports world. Please welcome the co-managing partner of Heisman to the Hall, H2H, Lee Shaw. Hi, Lee. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
Man, I'm great. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. You know, a few weeks ago, we had Tim Brown on, and Tim is obviously a great friend of yours. Mm-hmm. And we were astonished just about the small number of people who actually have won the Heisman Trophy and then gone ahead in their pro career and made it into the Hall of Fame. Yes. And so there's 10 of them. More people have walked on the moon than have done that. And so how did you notice this at first? You're the first guy to have even connected it.
I don't know. Basically, Tim was going into the Hall of Fame. It was his year that he was going in. And he had invited my wife and I, Janet, to come and be there. And so I had a number of families that were there for the events. And you know, there's a lot that goes on during that Hall of Fame weekend when you're being inducted. And so I went over to get Tim. There's a hotel that all the players, they all stay at. So every time you walk into it, you see all these famous people that, you know, you've grown up looking at, you know, and Sure. They're all congratulating one another and everything. And so Tim was all decked out in his suit. And I actually have a picture of my wife and Tim right before I told him this story. And I was just sitting in the parking lot. And for whatever reason, this thought I was just, how many guys have won the Heisman and went to the Hall of Fame? And it was just that moment. And so I looked it up and I was shocked that there were only 9. And, you know, I was like, huh. And then I went a little bit further and realized, Tim's the only receiver that has ever accomplished this. And so I was overwhelmed. I was kind of like, oh, wow. So I walk in and I take a picture of Tim and Janet, and I walk up to him and I go, and it's been this way every time. I just walked up and said, how many folks you think have, you know, won the Heisman and went to the Hall of Fame? And he said, oh, about 20. And I said, no, there's only 9. And would it shock you to know that you're the only receiver that's ever accomplished that? And he didn't believe me. He was like, you're out of your mind. That can't be true. And he says, you know, he tells the story. He got on the bus and he was, oh my gosh, you know. And I really didn't think much of it, because, I've known Tim a long time, and he's a Christian, and he loves the Lord. He's humble, and he's not a self-promoter by any means. So I thought, well, that's just Tim. So then I came back into town, and a dear friend of mine, Scott Murray, who is a Hall of Fame sportscaster, Channel 5 here in Dallas, and Emmy Award winner. And more importantly, he was dear friends with Doak Walker and the Doak Walker family. And as a matter of fact, Doak Walker left everything to his son, Doug, to manage the Doak Walker legacy. And so, and he's a walking historian. I mean, this guy can quote you days, time, everything, anything you want to know, he can quote it. And so he actually MCs the Doak Walker Award, which is given to the top running back in college. And so I called Scott, and I said, hey, how many guys have won the Heisman and went to the Hall? He said, 22. And I said, no, there's only 9. And I said, would it shock you to know that Doak was the first? He didn't know. And I'm like, he's the trustee of the Doak Walker estate, if you will, and he didn't know. And I said, he's the Neil Armstrong of the Heisman of the Hall. And so that's when I looked it up to see how many people had walked on the moon. And I think there was 14. And I went, man, more men have walked on the moon than have accomplished this. And that became the tagline. So, I mean, we trademarked it, and NFL Films was like, they used it for the sizzle reel, more men have walked on the moon. It's just that lofty. And so that was, now I'm 2 for 2. And
man. Since Tim, Charles Woodson has, so that's the
10. And he'll be
perfect 10.
He's the only defensive player that ever accomplished it.
So now I know the story. Tell the story of going and talking to Staubach.
To Roger? Yeah, it was. So Scott and I, after Scott freaked out, and so Roger and I've had some wonderful times, but anyway, he's a very humble man, loves the Lord, and so we were in his office, and Scott goes, "You got to tell him," and so I jokingly said to him, I don't want you to get the big head or anything. I'm telling Roger not to get the big head, and so he said, "What is it?" And I said, "How many guys you think have won the Heisman with the Hall?" And so he said the same thing, about 20. And I said, "No, would it shock you to know there's only 9, and you're the only quarterback that's ever accomplished that?" And he was just totally, totally blown away. I mean, he just kind of pondered. It was like you could see he was thinking about wait a minute, what about so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so? And then this just big smile came over his face, the joy that he had, from finding that out. And I said, out of all the quarterbacks who have ever played the game, there's one guy. Out of all the receivers who have played the game, there's, one guy. So, to put this in perspective, 75,000 players every year play college football. 75,000. And there's been a total of, and then 25,000 professional football players since the first game in 1920. There's only 346 have been put into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Only 85 Heisman Trophy winners. So just do the numbers, and
it's incredible.
And to think that one quarterback, and so now I'm 3 for 3. I'm like, okay. And then I told Tony, and Tony didn't know. And then all of a sudden, the word kind of spread, and I'm being contacted by people that, how did you figure this out? And then I still felt through the entire process that somebody somewhere was going to go, oh, I knew that. But even Charles Woodson, when he just got into the Hall of Fame and Tim was with him and told him about it, and he started jumping up and down going, the perfect 10, the perfect 10. He didn't know. So it's been an amazing little journey. They all are such, wonderful people in real life. They're just great people. And I really hoped that it's like going to the Olympics 3 times and winning gold every time. These men had extended careers of excellence that I think it's going to change how historians look at them and how they view them. One of the comical stats with Tim is most people don't know how many quarterbacks Tim had. And I always tell this story. How many quarterbacks do you think Tim had during his career?
I don't know. I would guess college and pro, like 6.
No,
5?
he had 19.
Golly.
19 pro quarterbacks. Jerry Rice had 2. Tim had 1 quarterback that was a Pro Bowler. Jerry Rice had 2.
He had Montana and Young. Yeah.
So you put Tim with Montana and Young versus 19 different quarterbacks. I think it just changes in the fact that the numbers, you can't even calculate the numbers.
That is astonishing. And I looked, and Tim, how long has he been retired? Obviously a while to be in the Hall.
Yeah.
But he still holds 7 NFL records.
Yeah, and one of them is he was the oldest guy to ever return a punt.
Yeah.
The story behind that one was the punt returner got hurt and he was forced into action. And he's like, all I want to do is just catch it and get back to the bench. He said the guy unleashed a punt so far he couldn't help but just take it. He ran it back for a touchdown. So the first time he touched the ball, he ran it for a touchdown. The first time he ever touched the ball in pro football, he ran it for a touchdown.
That's just amazing.
So all of the guys, from Earl to Tony to Marcus to, it's been a Roger, the Doak Walker family.
Barry Sanders.
No one knows that Doak Walker was the first. Even the guy that MCs the Doak Walker Award didn't know it was the first.
I'll tell you what. I got a friend in Texas who knows. Yeah, I guarantee you. My buddy Lee knows. He is a Doak Walker guy.
I really thought, even when we created the company Elite Team Holdings, and I give so much thanks to Mark Bluestein and Mike Titonian and Lisa Pendleton. They heard about it. They flew in and met with Tim and I, and they were like, "Would you give us the privilege of representing Elite Team Holdings and H2H?" And they really have taken it to such a level. They're the ones that brought NFL Films. And all along this way, I really felt like, because of, big egos or agents, or there's so many obstacles, so many things that could attack it. But to hear all of the guys go, if any other entity had discovered this, they would have no say in it. And so from the very beginning, the way that I set it up as Elite Team Holdings, is on their behalf. I mean, we're there to support their legacy, whatever revenue, whatever things come out of it, they are going to benefit. Their families are going to benefit.
So Lee, what Tim told me some of the things you guys have planned. What has happened since I talked to Tim? What do you guys have planned for this? Where are you going to use the leverage of this just awesome discovery, this gift, this fantastic group? How are you gonna use this?
I'm kind of, like I said, I've never done something like this before. So it seems like everybody that sees the sizzle reel and I think you've seen the sizzle reel.
Yeah.
When you see it, you just are, and you see the more men have walked on the moon, and it's so motivating, and it really is like getting to the moon. It's such an accomplishment. It's as Tim says, it's a dream that you can't dream. And
It is amazing to hear you say, I've never done anything like this, because it's for this to be the first thing like this you've done. It's almost as if you were an entertainment manager and your first client is Johnny Carson. I mean, I
feel that way.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, there's not a bigger group in sports.
And like I told Tim from the very beginning, when it was like, oh, well, I guess we need to create a company. I guess we need to build a brand. And, I think the thing that really jumped out at me was, kind of a phase one, the players and their families being so thankful for this coming together the way it has, because I do really think that it will change historically the way they're viewed. And then number two was when NFL films and NFL entertainment, they're not, and I don't have the experience to speak from it, but, based on all the players and everybody, the NFL and the NFL entertainment, these are not organizations that are easy to work with.
Right.
They're big corporations and all that comes with that. And yet they overwhelmingly responded and went, this is their business, and they were like, how did we miss this?
Right.
and the way that I put it is, it was hidden for a purpose. And when God spoke and said it's time for it not to be hidden, it was no longer hidden. And so, one of my favorite singers, Stephen Curtis Chapman, has a song.
I know Stephen.
Yeah, where he speaks to, that God speaks purpose into chance. That's one of the lines in the dance.
Well, Stephen also has a song that applies to you right now called "Saddle Up Your Horses," because I think you guys are fixing to be. So how can people follow this? How can people be a part, watching, and help in whatever way?
Well, it's kind of pretty simple. We have Aquarius Sports Agency, which is our. They basically handle all the marketing and the management, and they've got 25 years in the industry with Sports Illustrated, and Mike Titonian has been the CEO of Dover International for years. Right. There's a lot of wisdom. The players bring a lot of wisdom, and I, Tim. Although Tim and I are the managing directors of Elite Team Holdings, John Wood, our attorney, is a wonderful young man, and I think the thing that's been kind of amazing to me in this whole deal is, I said to Blue the other day, I said, have we had like even one negative phone call? I mean, has there been anybody that's like, oh, I knew that, or, or kind of, just minimized it or what? And it's no. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's NFL Films, NFL Entertainment, Hall of Fame Sports and Resorts. It's just like everybody has the same response. And so, when I had lunch with Earl, and when he asked me, he said, are you ready for this? And I was like, well, can you define what this is?
What is this?
so I can say yes or no, or whatever. But I told him, I said, all we can do is be faithful to what's been entrusted to us, and be faithful to the relationships that are involved. And on that one issue, there will be no compromise. I will always, and Tim and I are so unified in our faith that, regardless of what comes, we will make sure that it stays within the purpose that it was created for.
Man, in today's world, I can't tell you how much I appreciate hearing that, and how much our listeners and viewers are going to appreciate hearing that. And
Yeah, we want every, for instance, one of the things that's going to happen on June 8th is we're meeting with the PGA leadership of America. A friend of mine is the pro at Mira Vista Country Club in Fort Worth, Courtney Cannell, and he's also one of the leaders in this area as far as the PGA is concerned. And they got a group of guys, they got the sizzle reel. And next thing I knew, they called me and said, can we have a meeting? And I was like, sure. And so Tim and I met with them. And they go, the PGA would like to do an H2H Legends event. We would like to do that. And
wow.
And I did not even know. Now, I'm not a golfer. So my response to that was, great. Now, Tim's a big golfer.
Well, you could see me on the golf course. You wouldn't think I was a big golfer either.
I'm not, and so I don't know what's going to come of that, but I know that Courtney and Gilbert, they have been in interaction. I don't even know I've never met these people at the PGA, but the ironic thing was they just brought their corporate headquarters to Frisco, Texas.
Right.
And they built 2 18-hole golf courses, which Gilbert and Courtney were a part of. And so right there, an hour and a half from my house in Cowboy, right over there is the new course. And so Earl,
you could not have anybody more aligned with you and Tim than Gilbert. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he just really he just picked up the ball and ran with it. And obviously I met you through him, but he was like, okay, we're going to do this. And I was like, okay, so tell me what you do. And he told me, and he goes, I just can't, I can't get over this story, and it is an amazing, and Christian, Earl's son, pointed this out. He said, over a 35 year period, all these guys have been together on so many occasions, and their families have been together on so many occasions, and yet none of them ever connected that dot. And you're like, well, these guys are so incredibly, don't you think if it was me and I was the only guy that ever accomplished something, I'd probably tell somebody. But these guys, I mean, they're just they're in a league all their own for a reason.
Yeah. Well, this is going to have a huge impact on the sports world. I think it's going to have a huge impact on young people.
I hope so.
I know your plans, some of your plans there, and to impact that. And I think it will. I pray that it will have a massive difference in the players' lives and in the lives of their families and their legacy, and in the people that they're working with. So this is in any way that I can help. I mean, you let me know. So this audience,
any corporation, any business owner, we just literally, this sounds we literally just opened the bank account, for the corporation, 2 months ago. I mean, it was kind of like, I was resistant to, kind of getting ahead of myself, if you will.
Sure.
I was just kind of like, well, okay, Lord, whatever is supposed to happen is going to happen. Things that I think the world would see as obstacles, he seems to have just moved them. And Tim will tell you, and Earl will tell you, that the way this has come together and the people who want to be a part of it, has just been, they've never seen it before. And and you understand that because there's business and there's egos, there's, but, like I said, I've tried from the very big, everybody that has come and said, we want to be involved. We believe in that brand. We believe in what that brand represents. which is integrity and purpose and character and consistency and excellence over an extended period of time. Live the life. And, the one thing about all these guys, they have lived the life. And so, I know I'm fortunate to know several of them pretty well. And they're all humble. They're all just, very special people. And they gave the world their gifts. And I hope that in some small way that the gifts that I've been entrusted with will be a blessing to them.
Yeah. Well, it's also, I guess, an amazing thing just about the idea. I mean, because the fact of this was hiding in plain sight. And so many times
No doubt about that.
people seem to be hopeless because they say, well, there's, all the ideas have been taken. I mean, you think about all the stats that have gone into professional and college football, and to think about this stat, which is like maybe the biggest one of them all, and it was totally overlooked. And so it's like an idea whose time has come. And I tell people all the time that you're only lacking an idea to, and that if you think all the ideas have been taken, you're just wrong. And you got to remember, we put men on the moon before anybody thought to put wheels on luggage, right? So that's, there's always an idea, and this is just a massive one. And so good luck, buddy.
Do you want me to, I don't mind sharing my phone number or email if people would like to reach out to me.
Yeah, please. And we'll post it on the show notes too.
Okay. Well, it's 214-460-4867. And my email is N as in Nancy, P Vision, NPvision at AOL. Yes, AOL.com.
All right. Well, Lee, thank you so much for being with us today. And let's keep in touch.
Thank you for the gifts. And again, anybody that wants to talk, this is all new. Any idea that they have that they say, hey, can this work with H2H? Anything that can come alongside H2H and help build their business or expand their faith or whatever, we're completely open to that.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, buddy. We'll see you soon.
Everybody. Thank you. You too.
I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, harnessing common sense and wisdom to plow through challenges all the way to an answer for you. And I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode of the Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing that tiny bit of mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Backstage passes provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration provided by SweetTeaExports.com. Do you live above the Mason-Dixon line and crave sweet tea just like your grandmother used to make? Well, your worries are over. SweetTeaExports.com is coming to your rescue. For years, our CEO cringed when waitstaff offered only tea when taking a customer's order, as if there weren't two distinct types. Every school child in Alabama and Georgia knows there are two kinds of tea every restaurant should carry: sweet or un. And adding sugar or some kind of cancer-causing powder to un with ice in it will not sweeten anything. SweetTeaExports.com knows the water has to boil before the tea bags and sugar are mixed in. That, or the tea needs to steep for hours in a gallon glass jar on the porch in the afternoon sunshine. Only then is the ice added, and only then is it fitting to drink. That's SweetTeaExports.com, bringing sweet iced tea to a grateful nation by running Yankee blockades for the past 175 years.